Welcome back to this session. Just a quick number on what happened in the last tracks. We had our cybersecurity session with just over 400 people logged in. We had another parallel session. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. I apologize. I'll get back to you on that. But there was about 650 people logged onto that one. Right now, this is our penultimate session. We're talking about the European Digital Innovation Hubs and their interaction with artificial intelligence. The moderator today is going to be Yves Letron, who is a full professor of computer science at the University of Luxembourg in the domain of software engineering with a focus on software testing, software security, and data-intensive systems. Yves, I pass it over to you.
Thank you very much. So yes, so this session is about a very fascinating topic because it's about artificial intelligence and the way European Digital Innovation Hub will will be an instrument to foster innovation. So the three speakers we have today are Cécile Huette, who is Deputy Head of the European Commission of the Unit Robotics and AI. Hello. Hello, Cécile.
Hello, hi.
Hi. Sergio Gusmeroli, who is Research Coordinator at Politecnico di Milano, so Polimi. Hello, Sergio.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And the last speaker is Max Gint from what we call SMC at Luxembourg, from the Ministry of State, Department for Media, Telecoms and Digital Policy, with a focus on AI and emerging technologies. Hello, Max.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I will be assisted by Elena Varrois, who will collect the questions from the participants who are online, and you are many, so she will do her best to collect them. And that before maybe we start the question and answer session, I suggest that maybe all of you, one after the other, present a bit and their message, convey the message they want to give to the attendees. Maybe starting with Cécile, if you agree.
Yes, sure.
So the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you had the slides I sent before. Oh,
yes, they are there. Yeah.
Okay, great. So first, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present our activities. And what I'd like to present extremely quickly is a set of tools that we are giving to the community to really help this digital transformation with the help of AI. So if you can go to the next slide. So I will mention a few tools, namely the testing experimentation facilities, the AI on-demand platform, and the digital innovation hubs. And these are three instruments that we are putting in place in the digital program to really help the take-up of AI in our European industry. So the testing experimentation facilities are really, we co-invest with the member states in these world-class reference sites for experimentation in real settings or very close to real settings and focusing on application of AI in essential sector. The goal is really to provide a facility where developer of technology can come and test before then further deploying, and test at scale and test to make sure that AI complies with the requirements. And one very important thing is that these sites should be open to any developer of AI, and they should also connect to digital innovation hubs. Next slide, please. So I'll put this tool in the context of the digital program, where we will have access to data, infrastructure for data, the AI on-demand platform, central access point to all the tools we have in Europe, any kind of AI-related tools, and then these testing experimentation facilities, few reference tests throughout Europe to serve the whole Europe. And we have prioritize 4 application topics in the first call, and then 1 on edge AI, so to develop the component for AI. But in application sector, we have smart cities, smart communities, we have agri-food industry, manufacturing, and healthcare. And what would be very important is the interaction between those tools and the networks of digital innovation hubs to bring those results coming from the tools above to the digital innovation hubs. Next slide, please. As you know, the EDIH, they create their ecosystem locally, they network to the other digital innovation to Europe, but we provide with the central tool, like the AI on-demand platform, a central tool for them to access all the AI resource we have in Europe. And the same will apply with testing experimentation facilities. Next slide. So again, the digital innovation hubs, if you can click, they develop their local ecosystem, they connect to other European digital innovation hubs, and then they can use this common central resource we have, providing them with the testing experimentation facilities. So next slide. All in all, we are providing a central toolbox with the AI on-demand platform, with the testing and experimentation facilities to be made available to all the local stakeholders via the network of digital innovation hubs, which will play the role of a distribution channel for all these tools and bring them to the local users or companies to really empower them with those tools. Next slide. Just one comment. You've most probably heard about this recovery and resilience facilities. So it's just a message here, very important for this community. This is a huge amount of money made available for the member states to recover, to plan the recovery and to spend where needed to recover. And 20% of this huge amount has to be spent on digital. So the message to you here is to mobilize your constituency, your member state, inform them about the benefit they can have in investing in AI, and they can invest in testing experimentation facilities in their own countries, or in Excellence Center in AI, or in Digital Innovation Hub, to really make the best of this funding and preparing for the future. Thank you. That was my message.
Thank you, Cécile. Thank you very much. So maybe, and thank you for the clarification, because these new instruments are not completely easy to apprehend immediately. Maybe can we have some presentation from Sergio, who has already experimented some of these DIH aspects. So, Sergio.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sergio Cusmeroli. I'm research coordinator at Politecnico di Milano, and I'm the coordinator of the EDIH for AI project. You should have my slides, I believe. Yes, thank you. You could go to the following slide. So, the EDIH for AI is an Edge 2020 innovation action. We just started 1st of January, and I'm the coordinator of it. And the background and motivation of this project. If you have followed this morning's section of the EDIH Net, you for sure have followed Moritz Butter and from TNO and Giovanna Galasso from PwC, which were talking about corridors. And this is exactly a project where also TNO and PwC are beneficiaries, which is aiming at creating corridors. And our domain is the domain of artificial intelligence, of AI. So which are the corridors that we aim to create? This morning we spoke about corridors between different digital innovation hubs. That is how to allow the collaboration between one digital innovation hub and another digital innovation hub. In this project, we have 5 selected digital innovation hubs specialized in AI, which have been selected among the 30 which were included in the AI EDIH network initiative of the European Commission. This initiative has been a tender where 30 AI digital innovation hubs have been trained for a long period, for more than 1 year, to collaborate and to cooperate. And in the end of this project, 25 of them signed a cooperation agreement. And so this is to tell you that cooperation between digital innovation hubs is not instantaneous, is not out of the blue. It requires to address different topics from the business level, from the legal level, and from the technological level. And so we need our digital innovation hubs to get prepared to collaboration. That's why we need some sort of training programs like the one EDIH network did in order to have this digital innovation hub then ready to collaboration. In the AI domain, as Cecile said, we have one reference platform which is called AI for EU, the so-called AI on demand platform, which will also continue in the Digital Europe program. And so the corridors that we are going to develop are not just between one region and another region, but are also bidirectional corridors between regions and Europe. That is between the regional digital innovation hubs specialized in AI and the pan-European AI for EU platform. As I said, these corridors are bidirectional in the sense that, as Cecile said, AI for EU is looking for dissemination and exploitation vehicles in the local territories. And so the network of AI Digital Innovation Hub is perfect in order to implement this. And this network is currently made of 5 digital innovation hubs in the project, but we will have open calls, and through the open calls we will call 10 plus other 10 AI digital innovation hubs to join this network. But the collaboration, the cooperation, the corridor is also from the region to Europe, because in many cases in the regions we have outstanding innovations, outstanding SMEs, startups, which do not have the strength to go to internationalize their business, to go at European level. And so through the digital innovation hubs, these new tools, new assets, new algorithms could enrich the toolkit and the repository, the European repository of AI for EU. Next slide. I wish to give you 3 main messages regarding the EDIH for AI project. The first message is that we need common methods and tools. If digital innovation hubs are not sharing common methods and tools, then the collaboration will be much more difficult. And here we have some examples of different service portfolio frameworks which have been developed in the different recent projects. You can recognize the EDIH, the European Digital Innovation Hub, for main classes of services: test before invest, support to find investment, innovation ecosystem and networking skills. And this is, and our proposal is to have the so-called BEST service portfolio framework. And BEST means business, which is a more generic category of support to find investment, ecosystem, which is ecosystem building, skills, and technology, which is again a superset of test before invest. So we need really our digital innovation hubs to know themselves, first of all, which are the services they are currently providing, which are the services that the other digital innovation hubs in the AI domain are providing, and start looking for collaboration, for cooperation. And this is the message number 2 of next slide. So next slide is that we need to give structure to cooperation and collaboration. In the EDIH network initiative, we have developed 3 main patterns of collaboration: partnership to provide services jointly, development of new service, and matchmaking. And for each of them, we have created a model. And this model is reporting the pros and cons that characterize each of the three collaboration patterns. And we have also experimented these collaboration patterns. One of the most outstanding results of this collaboration is, of course, the creation of an AI maturity model. And an AI maturity model is, again, a precondition in order for the Digital Innovation Hub to be able to cooperate each other. Message number 3, next slide, is that we are also proposing an ICT platform, an innovation and collaboration platform, which is on the left-hand side of this picture, which is going to interoperate with the AI for EU platform. And basically, this interoperation is based on the principle of data sovereignty. And so we are applying data sovereignty in the relationship between one regional hub and another regional hub, or between one regional hub and AI for EU. What does it mean, data sovereignty? Data sovereignty means the right of a data provider to have full control about the access and the usage of the data they share. And this is a principle which is at the basis of the IDSA initiative, the International Data Spaces Association, and its reference architectural model, which is inspiring our interoperability framework between the Digital Innovation Hub platform, which is called EDIH, and AI for the EU. So, next slide, just to recap the three main messages that I wanted to give. And next slide, please. So, the three main messages are: one, we need common methods and tools, because otherwise we will never implement the corridors. And the corridors is a process. It's not something that could be implemented out of the blue. Second, we need collaboration models as well as business, technical, legal agreements. Third, if we have also an ICT platform which implement DIH to DIH collaboration and DIH to Europe collaboration, then of course the cooperation is much easier and could be set up and implemented in a very short time. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Sergio. So thank you for this nice picture about how we can cooperate and what are the need for sharing methods and tools and in order to better disseminate, especially at the local level, the different know-how from the different collaborators. Let's maybe have a look now at how it is, let's say, how it is seen and how it is articulated with a local national vision of a strategy and digital strategy. So maybe Max, you can have the floor now. Max Gint from the Ministry of State. Yeah, Max.
Yes, thank you, Yves. Now, indeed, it was interesting to hear the side in the last two presentations. Actually, the side, I would say, from the DIH, and I would see myself and our team working on the other side, meaning on the side of those that have a need and a demand for such skills and such companies that are going to be networked in those DIH institutions. Why am I saying this? Because in our AI strategy, our AI vision, which we adopted like many other countries 2 years ago, we directly opted for a call for projects inside our own administration, because we wanted to get a hands-on experience for our civil servants, for their expertise, a hands-on experience with AI projects in their own administration, in order to offer new services actually for the administration and for the citizens in the end. And so that's what we did. So we call it AI for Gov, and made a selection of interesting proposals, and in the last year developed a bit more than 4 projects by now, through which we got very interesting hands-on experience when it comes to legal questions, to ethical questions. So not necessarily only the things you read in ethical guidelines and ethical principles, which is always very nice and very useful, but the confrontation with those questions in reality. So in a real administration, with a real legacy system, with all those processes that are already there. And so through that process, we learned a lot. And we learned as well what kind of skills, what kind of expertise we need, where a DIH would come in very handy. Why is that? That is simply because we had to gather a lot of information about specialized AI companies, about AI pure players, about different niches, be it text-based natural language processing companies, or companies that can offer services in image-based AI. So we had to gather all those informations, and that is a place where we concretely see the need for a DIH. So I think that ties in more or less with other things we have already heard in the presentations before. And because I know that we are going to be short in time, I will stop myself here. And so, Yves, thank you.
So so I think it's, as I mentioned at the very beginning, AI is a very fascinating dimension of technology, but that goes beyond technology. And I would like to start to ask some questions which are hooking, that are this session to artificial intelligence, and very general question to start with, which are besides, in addition, let's say, to efficiency and effectiveness of artificial intelligence, what will be for every one of you the most important qualities that you expect from an AI, let's say, AI-based system or AI in general? I mean, this could be ethical, this could be explainability. I mean, just to get a short and brief answer about this.
If I may start?
Yeah, please.
I would say, for me, an AI system should be a system which meets the need of the users. And then these questions about ethics and fairness and so on and so forth, they are very theoretical. What is very important is to be concrete. What does it mean for me to have a system which is fair? And maybe it depends on the type of application. If I have a recommender system to see a movie, it's different from allowing me to have a loan. So we have really to adapt to the users and be very concrete, so that the user can really know what he can or she can expect from the system to deliver and its limitation, and also the risk. And when it comes to the risk, again, be very concrete. What are the measures in place so that they are protected? And this measures should also be very concrete for industry, so that they can innovate, they can know the boundaries, and then they can innovate in these boundaries. If they comply with the requirement, then they are in line, and then they can deploy. And it could also be a competitive advantage for them.
Thank you.
I would, if you allow, I think, I totally agree. We have maybe another concept to describe more or less the same things, but the concept of public accountability is very important for us. So what does this mean in practice? Well, it means that if we start to use an AI system somewhere in a critical place in our administration, and a person feels that that she wasn't really, she doesn't really know what happens with this AI system, what decisions does it take, because it's not transparent enough, then we might have very interesting parliamentary question about it, for example, and rightfully so, because that's the right of a citizen to know what happens inside the administration. And at this point, of course, we have to be very clear about every aspect of the system that we have used. So this is both a bit technical, it's a bit legal, of course, but we have to show and to convince and to know where to look for this public accountability, and to make sure that the system is actually treating every one of its users fairly and in the way that the administration wants it. So it's maybe an abstract concept, but a very concrete one to us.
Okay. Sergio?
Okay, may I add something? So I'm representing here the EDIH Lombardy region. If you know, Lombardy region is the region of Milano, 10 million inhabitants, and it is specialized in manufacturing. And which is the major challenge that we have to face is to understand the new role of humans. So in the presence of highly automated systems, which could work also without the physical presence of operators, we need new roles, new professions, new skills for operators. And this is usually called Industry 5.0. And it is a mix between human factors, sustainability, and resilience. And this has been very, very important during the COVID-19 crisis, because we had these new roles of workers, for instance, the remote worker. We have also new professions like the resilience manager, all the repurposing engineers. And this is something that, in my opinion, is really fascinating. And it is a consequence of AI adoption in one sector like manufacturing. And maybe the common sense could say, okay, AI manufacturing is automation, that is, get rid of humans and make it with robots and autonomous system. And this is not fully true. This is not fully true, and this is, I think, one of the main challenges also for next financial framework program.
Okay, thank you, Sergio. So there are quite a lot of quick keywords that have been came out from this question. So automation, personalization for the user, protection of the user, transparency, accountability, etc. So I think we have quite a pretty broad set of topics already. I will go quickly on this warming up question, because I think everybody would like to dig into more into the instrument itself. So I just have a second question which is linked, and you can also develop about the way EDIH answers this question is, what are the barriers for the adoption of AI in industry and for innovation in general? And then I think any one of you can pick this question and develop a bit about these instruments. So Cécile, if you want to start again, I mean.
Yeah. First, I would say not enough knowledge. Not everyone is expert in the topic and knows also all the ins and outs. So we see a lot in the press, okay, there are many advantages, but what does it mean for my company? And which investment does it mean? And also, what are those risks which exist? So if I go in that direction, what are the really the implications to that? So that's why I think it's very important that we have clear answer to these questions, and those answers are also tuned to the different industry. And this is where I think digital innovation hubs can really help, because they know their local ecosystem, and then they can target the audience and the answer to these audience, their local audience. But once they have they have helped that company or that organization to adopt AI, then you learn a lot from this experience. And one essential role, I think, is to bring that know-how, that knowledge about this tech transfer, to bring it to the others so that they can learn and they don't have to waste the time that the other have done. So reusing lessons learned and how the other can benefit from that. I think this would help us to progress much faster in Europe also and share the knowledge, yes.
Sharing knowledge is the answer for the better adoption of AI at the European level, right?
Yeah, and also communicate better, because we are not good at selling our successes. So we are rather shy. We don't need to oversell. That's very important. But we have to be realistic and explain what the technology can do concretely and what are the limitations. And for that, we need to better communicate.
So let's continue with the same order. So Sergio, what would be your message in order to, what would be how the European instrument can help in the adoption and according to the barriers that the industry may face, especially Industry 4.0, you are already at.
I can share my experience in the EDIH Lombardy, which is focusing on manufacturing. And currently we are also developing for Regione Lombardia the AI roadmap. And so we are interviewing several sectors, hundreds of SMEs in the region in order to understand which are the barriers. And the first impression is that they are a bit scared. And they are a bit scared with the message that AI will change, will revolutionize everything in the factory and in the way to work. And so we need really to clearly show the business benefits, the business advantages for the companies to implement and adopt AI solutions. And this was working in the interviews we did in the metal sector, in the machine tool sector, and in textile sector. And the real evidence of the business benefit is, in my opinion, something which could really mobilize SMEs. Then the point is, are our SMEs prepared to the AI revolution? And this is the point of AI maturity model that I mentioned before. And so we really need to create methods and tools in order to understand the maturity level with respect to the AI adoption of our SMEs. This will calibrate and tune the measures, the services that we are going to provide them. And this is very, very important, because there is no one message that fits all the needs of the SMEs. And so we really need to personalize and to customize DIH services to the SMEs. And the third, we encountered also a data culture and AI culture problem. That is, our manufacturing company, they think mostly about their product, which maybe is a high-tech product, a very successful product, but they don't have inside a data culture. And so most of the times they don't know where data is stored, they don't adopt standard data models, standard ontologies, they are not ready to implement data spaces. And the data spaces for manufacturing will be also another topic of the next Digital Euro program. And so data for AI and being ready in the data part in order to adopt AI is something that we need really to improve.
I completely agree with you. I had exactly the same experience in Luxembourg when we engage with collaboration with industry. There is also the internal, let's say, data awareness, the fact that data is not yet perceived as something that we can build on one hand, and on the other hand, there is this cultural gap that we face. It's cultural, I don't know if it's the right term, but the fact they are scared, I don't know, but they don't know where to go and how to do. And again, the business aspects and business model is not completely clear in many cases. So yeah, this is still quite challenging. Max?
Yes, I would see. I mean, SMEs are not those actors which I'm in contact the most. But on the other hand, I would say that it needs to be this democratization of technology solutions is the driver for those people that don't have all day to invest their time in deep diving into developing AI modules. So it needs to be packaged. It needs to work with the data that is created in a company, and I think that is one of the aspects I see. It needs to be nicely packaged, and the people need to know what they have to look for. And I see the link more towards education there. So the advanced digital skills, I think that's the key to grasp what you need.
Education and upskilling people also somehow is an important dimension of the adoption of AI. Time is running, and I have a couple of questions which are more specific to the European Digital Innovation EDIH. So it's easier to say. Maybe Elena, you have collected some questions from the participants that we could.
Yes. Indeed, we have some questions raised by the participants, so I will try to regroup them in order to allow our speakers reply to most of them. So basically, one of the main questions is related to the, let's say, purpose of the European Digital Innovation Hubs. So basically, our public would like to know whether these EDIH are rather supposed to be only consumers of the technologies, or whether they should rather provide tools and services and become a central provider of this kind of local-based services. So this is first part of my question, or of the questions of our public, and the second part is basically related to the balance that we should have between the industrial actors within these European innovation hubs and the research actors. This balance between the research and the industry, should it be 50-50, or what is the preferred, let's say, or meant by our funders option for that?
So who wants to reply to these questions?
I can say something about collaboration.
Go ahead, Sergio.
No, sorry, Cecile, sorry.
No, I did not want to jump. I thought you go first. Yeah, thanks.
So, in my opinion, the European Digital Innovation Hub initiative is a fantastic opportunity to really start cooperation among digital innovation hubs. At the moment, they are almost 95% concentrated on their own constituency, on their own regional ecosystem. Now the EDIH initiative is forcing them some way to cooperate and collaborate. And this means that we will have a marketplace. I don't like this word, but there will be somebody who is going to buy services and somebody else who is going to sell services. And this marketplace is also an inspiration for innovation. And so by looking at the services that enable Digital Innovation Hub is offering to its constituency, one Digital Innovation Hub could decide to develop its own new service by, if you want, replication or imitation of the experience gained. And the point is to share experience, to share knowledge, to share lesson learned. And this is the most important part of the EDIH initiative, which maybe is not so evident from if you read the text of the call, but Cecile showed is very clearly that point 3 is collaboration. So we should not have isolated, independent European digital innovation hubs, and we should have cross-technology and cross-sector collaboration among them.
Cécile, maybe
I fully subscribe.
Yeah.
This is why they're called EDIH, because they're European. Otherwise, they could stay just local. But this is where you gain, and as I said before, we can accelerate in being more efficient when we share knowledge and success stories, and also challenges. So this sharing of knowledge is essential. And the question was also, what is the purpose? Is it just consumer, or then do they distribute? So do they distribute, let's say, AI-based resource? I think they should do both. And of course, one of their goals is also to explain and help the non-tech industry to understand what the technology can do for them. So to bridge the gap between this standard or very classical industry and help them to understand where the technology could help them. But it's a dialogue. They should understand really the context and then bring the appropriate tool. And this is where this marketplace plays an important role, because the EDIH, they should be the best place to select the right tool. And they can go then to the central tools we have, like the AI on-demand platform, to really pick the tool which is the most appropriate for their local needs. So I think they play a key role in this chain of bringing the best knowledge we have in Europe and to the use of their local ecosystem. Now, the link between research and the academic world, the scientific world, and the deployment, the role of Digital Innovation Hub, we have to keep in mind that in the context of the digital program, we are talking about deployment, so it's much closer to deployment. So bringing the most mature result we have and bring them to application. But for sure, we should not work in isolation. So we should still connect with the research that we are going to do in Horizon Europe to drive the needs drive the research in highlighting the challenges that research needs to progress on. And we have to do this continuum from research to deployment. But the focus on digital is really going towards deployment and capacity building for that deployment.
So I have a question, in fact, and this is maybe related also to the case of Luxembourg and Max, is how do the newcomers, for instance, how can they join this EDIH? Is it possible? Is it prepared, or do we need to already have a mature DIH ready, or how does it work? Is there a mechanism to include and integrate newcomers?
I think that's. I would pass that question to Cécile. Actually, I think that's. If I understand you correctly, the question was about how new DIHs are going to be integrated in the EDIH network, right?
So, Cécile.
So there is the selection, the pre-selection by member states of their national EDIH, and then we have the European, at our level, we will do the selection based on the evaluation put in place for the digital program, and then out of that would then be the selected, the funded European digital innovation hubs from the digital program. But regarding newcomers, I'm wondering whether the question was newcomers to work together with a given European digital innovation hubs. So basically the users, or then to bring new digital innovation hubs in the EDIHs.
I will think the second one. Second part.
Right. So there will be the digital program selection process that will select and gradually build this EDIH pool of resources. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We don't have much time. We still have time maybe for a short question. Do you have some question, Elena, again?
Yes, well, maybe as we talk about the criteria, selection criteria, how, I mean, the main beneficiaries of these European digital hubs are meant to be SMEs. So basically how these SMEs will be assessed by the member states. Are there some evaluation criteria? Is there already a cost structure planned? I think this is all also about the articulation between the different funding possibilities there.
So maybe it's again Cécile, or I suppose?
Both actually, because actually we do fund the digital innovation hubs, which at their turn will offer services to SMEs. So the purpose of them is to support the SMEs in their digital transition. So we are not directly ourselves selecting the SMEs or supporting the SMEs. We fund the EDIHs so that they can offer the right services to these SMEs. So eventually the recipients of the services would be the SMEs, but we are not selecting them.
Yes.
Okay, I can maybe
just to complement this, I can only say that we, with all the SMEs, all the companies that we are working with when it comes to AI programs in the administration or expertise we need in the region, we of course we look in the region, we look in our country, but also across the borders, of course, and we will try to get this message across that the EDIH, that the DIH in Luxembourg actually is a very important actor, not to forget if you're in this space and if you want to move more towards AI.
May I maybe 1 minute to describe the experience we had in Lombardy and the European Digital Innovation Hub in Lombardy. So this is a joint venture between the three main organizations which bring different types of SMEs. We have the Intelligent Factory Regional Cluster, which is the environment where the AI road mapping is to be developed. And so here you could find the most advanced SMEs. That is those SMEs who have understood the usefulness of digital transformation and of AI. Then we have the Didactic Factory. We have a Didactic Factory in Politecnico di Milano where you could experiment the technologies. And this is more for those SMEs who like to have a direct practical experience with the new technologies. And then we have the DIH Lombardy, which is in charge of the digital maturity assessment. So DIH Lombardy is integrating 100,000 of SMEs because it is a Confindustria organism, which means that we could have some small-scale experimentations with the most advanced SMEs, but we could also easily extend it to large-scale experimentations in order to have SMEs lagging behind maybe in a less advanced sector to follow the most advanced SMEs.
Okay, thank you. So I think we are close to end this session, but there are many aspects we have not yet discussed. So some are about the Digital Transformation Accelerator too. I don't know if you have questions, Elena, about this?
I mean, I have some questions related maybe to the collaboration or synergies between different activities linked to the IE. So basically, the links that are established between the Digital Innovation Hub for Artificial Intelligence and, for example, the GAIE-X activity, which is under development. So I don't know if one of you can maybe go a bit further there.
Yeah, I talk about data sovereignty in my presentation. And Gaia-X, I guess it is Gaia-X, so what you meant,
yes.
is the digital sovereignty initiative. So it is the Gaia X, if you have the X schema of Gaia X, you could see the data sovereignty is one part of this picture, and the other part is to have a trustful European cloud infrastructure, cloud and data infrastructure. And the two comes together. Yes, and this is very, very important to, on the one side, to guarantee data sovereignty, and on the other side, to guarantee digital sovereignty of infrastructures of data and AI infrastructures, which is Gaia X.
Yeah, and I would add that it's very important, as I showed in the picture, to bring the data, the cloud infrastructure, and then all the tools we have. And the AI on-demand platform is also supposed to give access to bridge to those resources we have in terms of data spaces, in terms of compute environment, and compute power, HPC as well. So we have to bring together all these different resources to really build on our strengths and let's say create critical mass with the values we have.
Okay, so I think that normally the session should already have ended, by the way. I don't know how it is organized. Yes, hello?
Hi.
Hi.
That's over to me.
Hello.
Thank you, Yves. A very insightful speech again on artificial intelligence. Some very interesting questions there as well. So thank you for that session. As you can see, I'm back outside again. Cold. It's a bit chilly out here. We saw previously this X. It's just behind me, which is part of our nation branding, part of Luxembourg. Let's make it happen. Let's swing us around. Here we go. Here we are. Okay. Just make sure we're not going to get run over. As I said, we're outside of the kind of the innovation and research area now, and we're more into the fun and the leisure side. So Belleville Plaza, as I said previously, is where the shopping center is, and you can find the cinema, hairdressers, things like that. But what's interesting, what we're going to look at now, hopefully, is the Rock Hall. So the Rock Hall is our music venue. As I said, they have a lot of excellent bands come here who either start or end their world tours. Let's have a look. So if we can see entrance, and then somewhere we can see VIP, who do you think is going to let us in? If there is somebody here. Let's see if I can bang on the door. Can I see inside? Let's try and knock. Anybody there? This has all been closed down since the lockdown, unfortunately. So maybe there's nobody here. That'll be a bit of a disappointing way to finish the session, wouldn't it? Let's see. Yep. Can you see anybody? I can't see anybody here. Oh well, that looks like we've lucked out on that one. Oh, what we can try very quickly is to go around the back door. Let's try that. So here's the big blast furnaces for the last time. Just while I'm coming around this side, seeing if I can't get in the side door, we have the next session coming up at 5 p.m. and our very own Sarah Bouchon from the market intelligence team is going to be talking about high performance computing. That incidentally, and just in front of us is the train station. Let's see. Nobody answering the door for us today. Oh, that's a disappointment. I thought we were going to get in. Okay, so I shall run back to the studio, and we'll see you all at 5 o'clock for our HPC high performance computing session. Over to you guys.